أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Inshallah, today we'll continue our series. Before Ramadan we stopped at Surah Al-Anbiya chapter 21. So today inshallah we'll take the themes from chapter 22, Surah Al-Haj, the pilgrimage. Now, this surah is a very special surah. It has verses that revealed some in Mecca and some in Medina. Some were revealed by day and some were revealed by night. Some during travel and some when the Prophet was at home. And it has two verses that has prostrations in it, while other chapters have only, some of them have only one sajda in them. And it is the only pillar of Islam that has a chapter named after it. There is no chapter for Salah, there is no chapter for Saum or Zakah. It's the only only one that has a chapter named after it. And the main topic of the surah is the pilgrimage and its rituals, but it also talks about the Day of Judgment, talks about resurrection, talks about jihad, struggling for the cause of Allah, talks about intense worship and submission to Allah. So what are all these common themes? What do they have in common together with all these topics? Now, for the people who have performed Hajj, they will understand how all these topics, work together. Because Hajj prepares a believer for the Day of Judgment. When you start looking at the steps that you go through Hajj, what you're wearing. You're wearing 2 pieces of white cloth. It almost resembles what a dead person is wrapped in. You're constantly on the go. There is no, I'm going to sit and enjoy my morning coffee and go through my normal ritual. There is no normal ritual. You're just going from one place to another. You're always on the go and doing intense types of worship. I mean, the level of the intensity of the acts of worship is much, much higher than when you're doing it any other time. You look when you're on the mountain of Arafah, everybody's afraid, everybody's crying, everybody's pleading with Allah. You'll see that intense act of worship, everywhere around you. And, in Muzdalifah, after they come back from Arafah in Muzdalifah, they sleep on the ground at night. And then when Fajr comes, everybody stands up, gets dust their white cloth as if they came out of their grave and they're following the caller. That's from the scenes of the Day of Judgment. Then when Allah summons all human beings, they all get out of their graves, dust themselves, and follow the caller for the resurrection. So all of these acts, they're all embodied in Hajj. I mean, you experience those when you experience Hajj, the right way, and the whole act of Hajj, I mean the pillar of Hajj, is meant to prepare the Ummah for the Day of Judgment and prepare them for Jihad, because there is no such thing as I'm going to sit and do my normal routine. There is no normal routine. Go. You're obedient to Allah and going from one station to another and not thinking about, what else do I have to do. So if we look at the verses, right from the beginning, from the first verse, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is reminding the believers of the day of the Day of Judgment and the horrors of that day. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم إن زلزلة الساعة شيء عظيم. In verse 1, O mankind, fear your Lord. Indeed, the convulsion of the final hour is a terrible thing. يوم ترونها تذهل كل مرضعة عما أرضعت وتضع كل ذات حمل حملها وترى الناس سكارى وما هم بسكارى ولكن عذاب الله شديد. On that day, when you all see it, يوم ترونها, all human beings that are alive will see that day. And on that day, everyone who is, even the woman who is actively feeding her baby, That's the closest bond between two human beings. Even the woman that are breastfeeding her baby will let the baby go and abandon that baby from the horrors of that day. And everyone who is pregnant will abort. And you will see, and وَتَرَى النَّاسَ سُكَرَى, and the believers will see people walking like they're drunk, but they're not drunk. They're under the intense horrors of that day. And you see that. I mean, if you ever lived in a war zone, when people get exposed to something very traumatic, they act in ways, they'll be walking aimlessly. You talk to them, their eyes glazed. That's from the horrors of that day. So then the verses remind people of the resurrection. That just like Allah created us the first time, He is definitely capable of bringing us back for, to answer for our actions in this life. In verse 7, وَأَنَّ السَّاعَةَ آتِيَةٌ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهَا وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْعَثُ مَنْ فِي الْقُبُورِ. And they may know that the hour is coming, no doubt about it, and that Allah will resurrect those in the graves. Now, the belief in Allah is always coupled with belief in the day of judgment. Believe in, يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر. Because if you don't believe you will be responsible for your actions someday, you will not behave correctly in this life. Because many people believe in God, but non-believers, they believe in God, but they don't believe that they will be answerable to their actions. But a believer knows that you believe in Allah and believe and you prepare for that final day. So that horror of it will be a lot less than people who are oblivious of it and then it's right in front of them. So, many verses assure people that Allah Ta'ala, just like He brings the trees back to life every spring, He brings the land from the barren land back to life every year. I mean, we see it with our own eyes. Just like He brings every dead land to life, He will bring a human being back, because recreating man is a lot easier than creating him the first time. And that's a general statement. Recreating something when you have the blueprint is a lot easier than when you create him the first time. And Allah created us the first time with no blueprints. He's sure, all He has to tell us is be, and you are again. So we have to believe in that. And Allah says, وَهُوَ الَّذِي أَحْيَاكُمْ ثُمَّ يُمِيتُكُمْ ثُمَّ يُحْيِيكُمْ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَكَفُورٌ, in verse 66. And He is the one who gave you life, then He causes you to die, then He will again give you life. Indeed, mankind is ungrateful. Then after that, from verse 26 to 37, the rituals of Hajj are mentioned in there. And the honor that Prophet Ibrahim for building the house in Mecca. And Allah Ta'ala affirms that Hajj is a right and a great act of worship that He chose for this ummah. In verse 34, وَلِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ جَعَلْنَا مَنْسَكًا لِيَذْكُرُوا اسْمَ اللَّهِ عَلَى مَا رَزَقَهُمْ مِنْ بَهِيمَةِ الْأَنْعَامِ فَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ فَلَهُ أَسْلِمُوا وَبَشِّرِ الْمُخْبِتِينَ. And for all religion we have appointed a rite of sacrifice, and that they may mention the name of Allah over what He has provided for them of sacrificial animals. For your God is one God, so to Him submit. And O Muhammad, give good tidings to the humble before their Lord. So it's a great training for the entire Ummah on this act of worship. Now verses 38 to 41 talks about Jihad. And in verse 39, أُذِنَ لِلَّذِينَ يُقَاتَلُونَ بِأَنَّهُمْ ظُلِمُوا وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى نَصْرِهِمْ لَقَدِيرٌ. Permission to fight has been given to those who are being fought because they were wronged, and indeed Allah is competent to give them victory. So Hajj helps a believer perform jihad by providing the practical training. You're constantly on the move. You're going from one place to another. There's no more daily routine. You're dedicated to the worship of Allah and dua, and you're sleeping out in the open or in a tent. You don't have the comforts of normal life. I mean, you're on the move. So Hajj is an intense submission to Allah. And the day of Arafah is the day when all pilgrims overexert themselves in dua and in acts of worship, trying to secure that forgiveness from Allah. And they're doing it with sincerity and genuine tears and insistence on supplication. So, and the interesting thing about Surah Al-Hajj is, if you look at in the Quran, the first verse that had sajda in it, a prostration, was in Surah Al-Alaq. Allah says, كَلَّا لَا تُطِعْهُ وَاسْجُدْ وَاقْتَرِبْ. And it was addressing the Prophet ﷺ by himself. The verse with sajda that's in Surah Al-Hajj was the last one, the last verse with sajda that was revealed. And Allah says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا ارْكَعُوا وَاسْجُدُوا وَاعْبُدُوا رَبَّكُمْ وَافْعَلُوا الْخَيْرَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ in verse 77. O you who have believed, bow and prostrate and worship your Lord and do good that you may succeed. A lot of things have changed in those 23 years. The first command was for the Prophet ﷺ alone to make sajda. After 23 years, the entire Ummah is ordered to make the sajda. And we can see what changed, how the community changed in these 23 years because of the Quran and because of the directives, from Allah. And the surah finishes with a very beautiful verse and the final advice from Allah to the successful ones. In verse 77 and 78, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا ارْكَعُوا وَاسْجُدُوا وَاعْبُدُوا رَبَّكُمْ وَافْعَلُوا الْخَيْرَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. O you who have believed, bow and prostrate and worship your Lord and do good that you may succeed. وَجَاهِدُوا فِي اللَّهِ حَقَّ جِهَادِهِ هُوَ اجْتَبَاكُمْ وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ مِلَّةَ أَبِيكُمْ إِبْرَاهِيمَ هُوَ سَمَّاكُمُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِ وفي هذا ليكون الرسول شهيدا عليكم وتكونوا شهداء على الناس فأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة واعتصموا بالله هو مولاكم فنعم المولى ونعم النصير. And strive for Allah with the striving due to Him. وجاهدوا في الله حق جهاده. Do it the way it should be done. He has chosen you and He has placed upon you in the religion. He has not placed upon you in the religion any difficulty. Islam is, Allah gave us this religion to protect us, not to put difficulties on us. There is no difficulty. It is the religion of your father Abraham. Allah named you Muslims before in former scriptures, and in this revelation that the messenger may be a witness over you, and you may be witnesses over the people. So establish prayer and give zakat and hold fast to Allah. He is your protector, and excellent is the protector, and excellent is the helper. So Hajj is one of those life-changing experiences that we have to do it once a year. And some people wrongly think that I'm going to wait until I'm old to do it. It's a young man's journey. I mean, to do it right, it takes a lot of effort. Even at 40, you go there and your legs are tired from making all the going through all the places. It's a young man's, So do it as early as you can. Encourage your children to do it as early as they can, because we don't know, we don't know when we're going to leave this world, and you have no guarantees that you're going to live another year. And if you're capable of doing it that year and you don't, you're putting yourself in a big predicament. So if you haven't done it, do it. It's a great experience. And, it's a right upon Allah. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وارنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون احسنه وادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله.